YouTube Live, online at salamradio.co.uk and via our iPhone and Android apps. Always on air for you, 24/7, 365, uniting all communities. Please make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Community Matters is a returning show on Radio Salaam in this new early evening drive-by slot of 5 p.m. every Thursday. We're here asking questions that matter to our community life. Over the coming weeks, we will be looking into various subjects of interest to the local community, such as preparing the city for winter for the homeless, a new daytime homeless project, cubs and beavers starting up at the Beaches School, and the way we want to remember 100 years since the armistice that ended fighting in World War I. Now for tonight's show, we are joined by Richard Ferris. Richard is the Centre Manager at Gladstone Connect's Allama Iqbal Centre. Welcome, Richard.
Hi there.
Hi. Now, of course, the Allama Iqbal Community Centre on Cromwell Road is where I am speaking to you from, as you host the Salaam Radio's purpose-equipped studio that we're now sat in.
And it's great to have them here as one of our tenants.
Thank you very much. You didn't have very far to come to get to the studio then?
All of about 10 paces.
Now, let me check this out with you, Richard. I'm told you are an experienced ecologist, having worked over 25 years in the Forestry Commission and in the government's advisory body on nature conservation called the Joint Nature Conservation Committee. You then set up your own sustainability consultancy, Earth Matters, to advise business and community organisations how to be green and profitable. Richard's daughter describes him as looking after the birds and the bees, the flowers and the trees. Richard is also a local councillor and community activist. When not running around trying to sort out problems, he enjoys running, and he once ran 6 days across the Sahara Desert. He's also a cyclist and a swimmer, and is a very keen sports fan, athletics and football and rugby and speedway in particular. In his latest incarnation, it's a bit odd of me as a vicar talking about incarnation, but Richard is now the Centre Manager at Gladstone Connect's Allama Iqbal Centre. First of all, Richard, how do you come to be living in Peterborough, and what brought you into working here at the Allama Iqbal Community Centre?
Well, that could be a very long story, but I came to Peterborough some 13 years ago to work at the Joint Nature Conservation Committee, which is based overlooking Laxton Square in the city centre. And via a very circuitous route, I've ended up here at the Allama Iqbal Centre helping out, I think, because they had a vacancy, and I saw it as an opportunity to get embedded in the community and hopefully do some good. In the little introduction there, you mentioned a number of things I've done, and my little business venture, Earth Matters, is one of these things which is a slow burn. So to be honest with you, this was a great opportunity to actually earn myself some money and do something useful, put something back to the community.
Of course. How long have you been manager now here?
I've been here since July, and I'd like to think people have noticed a few changes. Certainly I've been trying to reach out to some of the communities that don't traditionally use the centre to try to diversify the end users and get people to come in, see the place and see what facilities we've got and give me ideas of what they'd like to see.
So what does a centre manager actually do? Is it about that outward-looking connection, or do you have staff that you manage? And
at the moment, I have no staff to manage at all. We're looking to set up a sort of volunteer scheme to bring people in from the community who can learn new skills and help us deliver some of our day-to-day services. So, I mean, a typical day, if there is such a thing, is coming in, unlocking, getting things, getting the lights on, getting the place looking spick and span, dealing with a lot of email, doing marketing about the centre, using social media, and also organising events and trying to attract bookings, because these places cost money to run, and it would be great to have a whole programme of bookings through the week so the place is well used.
Has it been quiet since July because of summer holidays?
It was initially, yes, and of course one of the other tenants in the building, in addition to Salaam Radio, is the Beaches Preschool. So over the summer we didn't have the preschool in, but now they're back. It's fantastic. You hear happy children's voices all day long, and you know, the squeals of excitement as they discover something new. So that's great. It's certainly picking up, and it's becoming quite busy. We've got a number of events booked, evenings, regular tenants, and I've got some things lined up over the next weeks and months.
Now, I was here last Saturday when Peterborough Environment City Trust and Community First hosted a Growing Communities Project Fun Day.
It was great, wasn't it?
Yes.
They came in and they were sort of celebrating the success of their project, greening the local area, but also offering children and their families the opportunity to make bird boxes, bat boxes, and just, you know, come in and have some fun and share food and drink together. And it really was a vibrant, lively affair.
And a variety of people from across different communities.
Yes, and that's one of the things I'm really keen to promote here, because I think, you know, all communities all want the same things, basically. And I think we've got so much more in common, and it would be great to bring people together, sharing food or sharing exercise or all sorts of, you know, ideas that I've got to build on some of the things we saw at the weekend.
So to diversify, given that the name sounds quite Arabic or Muslim, the Allama Iqbal Centre, but it is for all communities?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's located here in the heart of the Gladstone area, but of course, as you'll be aware, there have been a lot of changes over the last 5-10 years, and it's not the same area that it was 10 years ago. We've seen a lot of inward migration from communities all across Europe, in addition to the traditional Pakistani heritage community that live here.
How easy or difficult are you finding it, making connection with those newer communities?
I'll be perfectly honest with you, it is a challenge. I mean, I'm relying on building networks with some of the existing community organisations such as PCVS and Parker, and using them to get the message out that we're open for business. And one of the things I think, well, I hope will work, is that we're about to launch a community cafe here. Because everybody likes a chat over a cup of tea, or drop in and have a cake or a sandwich or whatever. So from the first week in November, we'll be operating a community cafe here, and it will be a sort of place of welcome. There will be good, hearty, wholesome food at prices people can afford, and hopefully that will bring people in. At the moment, I look out the window, I see a lot of people walk down Cromwell Road. They might glance over, but they don't come in. Once we've got a big notice up announcing that the cafe is open, let's see what happens. Yes,
indeed. What times of the day will it be open?
The plan is it will open Tuesday through to Friday, 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 in the afternoon.
Wonderful. That's a really good spread of times. People could be dropping children off at school, or
absolutely
walking past in lunch break or whatever it is.
Yes.
The idea of a drop-in, meet friends, grab some refreshment.
Yes, absolutely. And and I hope if we get some decent weather as well, we'll have some outdoor seating for those people that want to get some fresh air.
Coming back a bit to the gardening, outdoors, I notice you've got, is it vegetables or fruit growing in your front garden?
We've got a couple of fruit trees. We've got a plum, apple and a pear tree. We've got some red currants and black currants. And a lot of the other beds are given over to herbs, and there's some pumpkins and tomatoes. And that's something that's proved really popular. And so I'm keen, pardon the pun, to grow that project.
That harks back to your previous interest in nature and nature conservation,
It does, yes. I'd really like to green the centre.
I mean, I was going to ask you, it seems quite strange to have come from an environment of working in forests and nature conservation into a very urban inner city area.
Yes, I mean, clearly the two are opposite ends of a spectrum, but I feel very strongly that just because I've had the privilege of working in some of the most beautiful natural places on earth, why shouldn't people who live in urban settings in city centres enjoy nature in the same way? And I don't see any reason why it should be a poor copy of nature. We can bring nature into cities. It's quite easy. We've seen through some of the wonderful work Community First have been doing how easy it is to green an area up and hopefully then attract more wildlife.
Yeah, thank you. Now, the umbrella body that oversees the Allama Iqbal Centre is called Gladstone Connect, am I right?
That's right.
Yes. And Gladstone Connect is described on the internet as an urban regeneration charity established in 1997 with a mission statement striving for a prosperous and self-confident community. How do you see that being worked out?
Well, I know from talking to people in the area, there is a feeling that over many years perhaps the area has not seen the inward investment and support it's needed. Now, Gladstone Connect is about trying to provide that. And just to give you one good example is the board of trustees of the charity have worked very closely with the city council to promote the idea of a new play park and an area, community park for people to come with their children or to have a sit and quiet relax. And they've identified a site to the rear of Dyson Close, which is less than a 5-minute walk from here. And through a number of meetings and negotiations, they've arrived at a position where the council have been awarded a substantial sum of money, which they are matching, to build a new park for the area. And it really is, it's going to be a fantastic facility with plenty of play equipment for children. There's going to be a green gym, an outdoor gym for people to use, and a trim trail for the little children, and a little formal garden as well.
That sounds wonderful. How will it be looked after?
Well, of course, that's the killer question, if you like, because the city council, like a lot of local authorities, don't have much money anymore because of the situation we're in financially. But the idea is to design the park in such a way that it requires minimal maintenance, but the idea is it will belong to the community. And so we're keen to build on some of the things that have happened with the PECT and Community First project. And interestingly, through a contact I had, there's a project taking place in the prison here in Peterborough whereby prisoners are being upskilled to make things out of recycled pallets. And so they're learning woodworking skills. And one of the things they can do is they can make park benches, picnic benches, planters, etc., etc. And I've got the city council interested in the idea of getting some of the planters, etc., for the park made by the prison, and possibly involving prisoners on remand to come and help with the maintenance alongside local community activists. So, I mean, it would be a great thing to see if we could bring all those people together, own the park and maintain it themselves for the community.
Surely, yes. When do you think work will start on that?
Well, I've been very, very pleasantly surprised. Usually when you've got local authorities involved, it's way, way off. But we've got a very, very dynamic project manager who is assuring me it will start, the first earthworks will start at the beginning of January and the park will be open in May next year.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's good news.
We must bring you back and tell us more and perhaps show some photographs of the development.
Yes.
Yeah. I also like the involvement of prisoners because it's about the rehabilitation and the opportunity to restore self-respect and self-esteem to people and to enable them to feel that they can contribute to society and become good and even better citizens.
Absolutely. I mean, I went in to visit this particular project a couple of months ago. I didn't know what to expect, and I was really impressed by conversations I had with the residents who all felt that this was doing something worthwhile, and they wanted the outside world to know about what they were doing. Talking to their project supervisor, it soon became clear that they were building making an awful lot of really wonderful stuff, but nobody knew about it. And so I've got the board of trustees of Gladstone Connect to agree that we're going to showcase some of their work. So we are purchasing, for example, some tables that are going to be made for us for the cafe from the prison. And in that way, start to showcase what the prisoners are doing. And as you say, it helps with their rehabilitation. But talking to them, they were really excited that their products were going to be used in a positive way outside.
Now, you've mentioned that piece of work by Gladstone Connect. Again, from the internet, I discover that Gladstone Connect's objectives are to promote public benefits in areas of social and economic deprivation, and that we have to admit is the area around us here, particularly in the inner city area of Peterborough. In general, it is to assist in the relief of poverty and unemployment, advance education and training, improve housing and health and well-being by all means available, including securing funds for specific projects and working with other partners. And you've explained in that one project at the back of Dyson Close that, you know, the funds have been available and working with partners. Are there other bigger plans in mind, do you think? I know housing is a problem in this area.
Well, I can't comment on housing, but certainly one of the things I'd like to do, I mentioned volunteering earlier. We'd like to build up a sort of a network of volunteers, people who come into the centre and are able to develop their skills to make them more employable. And certainly I've seen that already. We've got a couple of people interested. We've had a few people coming in, giving a few hours here and there. And often it's simply a lack of confidence, and that's all that's holding them back. So if we can give them the opportunity to develop, say, people skills by working on reception or helping out in our community cafe or helping out in the garden, this can help grow their confidence and give them the ability to then go out and find permanent paid employment. So I'm keen to really build that.
That's a lovely way of encouraging people to gain the confidence and, as you say, the skills as well, in order to get into paid employment. I think something like that occurs just along the road at PCVS, Peterborough Council for Voluntary Services. It
does, yes. And I mean, there's no reason why we can't all work together. One of the first things I did when I came here was make contact with all of the community centres across the city to say just that, you know, we're open for business. If we can help you in any way and you can help us, let's share our resources and share our experiences.
What sort of response did you find you got from that approach?
I was pleasantly surprised, actually, and I had some visitors from the Eye Community Centre. Now, when you think about Eye, which is a village out to the north of the city, their clientele and their setting is completely different from ours. But their general manager and one of her other staff came down to visit the centre to have a look round, see what we were doing. And I've got an invitation to return to visit them and learn about how they manage their centre, the sort of groups they have in and how they make it work. So, you know, there's a willingness, I think, to share thinking, share ideas.
Yes. Now, no one place believes it's got all the answers.
Absolutely not, and I certainly wouldn't claim that here.
Now, I've come in occasionally to the Iqbal Centre, of course, to take this show in Salaam Radio, and I've noticed one or two guests that you have here. I think martial arts I've seen happening. It's a very nicely equipped kitchen that you have. But I wonder if you could mention some of the other activities that go on here.
Sure. Well, I mean, you mentioned the martial arts. We've got a taekwondo and a karate club that come here, and that's very popular, particularly amongst some of the young men locally. We have a relationship with City College whereby they run courses here, free courses for members of the public. Cookery, we've got a knitting and weaving course coming up soon. We've got a rather interesting course in January where they're going to teach people how to cook on a budget, which of course is very important these days. In addition to that, we have a physiotherapy practice that come in the evenings and operate here. During the daytime, we have NHS midwives, which is great for the centre because it brings a lot of people in. There's a constant stream of mums-to-be, often with their partners or with their children coming in. And we have Bernardo's run a stay-and-play session on a Tuesday morning here, which is growing in popularity as well. Now, trying to build on all of that, one of the things I was aware of is that a lot of people in this area don't have easy access to books and a library. And in conversation with Vivacity, they've kindly donated us a large volume of books. And as of next Tuesday, we're opening a rather informal micro-library here at the centre. People can just drop in, have a read whilst they're waiting, or if they want to, they can take books home like you would with a traditional library, but without any of the fuss about a library card and having to swipe it and do this, that and the other.
Right.
Just to encourage a love of books.
And you're open probably more hours in the week than the library might be.
We are, yes. We're open from 9 in the morning till 5:30 in the afternoon. And then, of course, there are these additional evening events and weekend events too.
Now, how can people find out more about what goes on here?
We have a website. I'd like to think it's a smart, tidy, easily navigated website. It's www.gladstoneconnect.org, and that's regularly updated, I know, because I do it. We also have a Twitter account, which is @ConnectGlad, not Glad Connect, but @ConnectGlad, and we have a Facebook page under the name Allama Iqbal.
And I'm sure that an internet search, the Iqbal Centre, Peterborough, would
it'll come up.
Find your way here.
Yes, absolutely.
And if people don't exactly know where it is, how would you describe its location?
I would say it's less than a 5-minute walk from the city centre, about halfway up Cromwell Road, number 157, and it's easily recognisable because we've got an area of grass at the front with a couple of little bits of play equipment, and it's what would you say? It's a low-rise building set back from the road, surrounded by gardens, which in due course will be brightly flowering. That's the objective.
And as I noticed as I walked up today, you had a large new sign, Gladstone Connect Community Centre, the 157 in a big sign on the wall, and 2 very neat wrapped up bags of rubbish.
Yes, well, one of the things I've tried to do, and I'm working closely with the Amy crew that work in the area, is to ensure that the area is litter picked every day, because a lot of our inner city areas suffer from littering and fly tipping, and I'm determined to make the place look like it's loved. And interestingly, I was litter picking the grassed area this morning, and a gentleman walked by, and he picked up some litter from the street, put it in the bin, and wished me a good day. And I said to him, I could give you a hug, because I said so few people think to do that, and it's just the little things like that that make it feel worthwhile.
And it does look loved, and it does make a difference. Do you think we're ever going to turn the corner of people not throwing litter, but actually taking it home or putting it in the bin?
Well, I'm the eternal optimist. I hope so. I hope so. And I think, there are signs in the community that there are people out there that care enough, to get involved. And our dear friend Mohammed Saeed from Community First is a prime example of someone who's out all the time picking up litter. And, he's able to engage more and more people to join him with that. So I am hopeful.
And that's something that the diversity of community can do together. Absolutely.
And it's surprising, actually, how much joy you can get out of walking around with a plastic bag and a litter picker for an hour or two. You get to know your neighbours, and it's immensely satisfying when you've got a bag full of litter at the end of that time.
I recall one story that Mohammed Saeed said that somebody came to ask him, "Why are you clearing up litter in my street?" And I think he felt like saying, "Because you haven't."
which is true. But I don't live in Cromwell Road, but I'm starting to feel that it's my second home, and I want it to look good.
Yes, of course. Now, I would imagine someone with a love of forests and nature conservation would find living in an urban area quite demanding, if not depressing. But from everything you've shared with me tonight, not only are you optimistic, but you're passionate about the community opportunities that you're bringing by being centre manager here.
Absolutely. I've seen it in the short time I've been here. The little signs, the enthusiasm with which people embrace change, and I think there is a desire to get the place looking loved and get it looking green and inviting. And I used to teach many years ago, and I remember taking a group of school children out into the countryside to a local farm, and I realised then that some of them had no idea where eggs came from or milk came from. And it's to me, it's I've got this passion for the environment, and I want to share that with people.
And that's wonderful that you've been able to bring that here into the heart of an inner city deprived community.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you, Richard. Richard Ferris, Centre Manager here at Gladstone Connect's Allama Iqbal Centre, striving for a prosperous and self-confident community. Thank you again, Richard.
Thank you, Adrian.
Now, we mentioned Mohammed Saeed in that little exchange, and Mohammed Saeed, I'm hoping, will be joining us on telephone for the second half of our show. Saeed was my very first guest on Community Matters back in February, and we have a lot of catching up to do. So there's plenty to stay tuned for, and do make sure you send us your comments. When I introduced Saeed back in February as my very first guest, I said that he was born in Pakistan and arrived in the United Kingdom in 1980. That's all we have time for. Here comes the break.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
It does not take much to bring some difference. You give some change, which makes a change, because nothing gets mileage like a charity. Just a little change turns into a chain, and before we know it, the results are massive. So give a little to make a big difference. To give donations, call UKIM on 0207 387 2157.
Had a car accident or an accident at work? Accident specialists are experts in no-win, no-fee accident claims. Leave the hassle to us. Our multilingual settlement experts will manage the entire claims process on your behalf, with nothing to pay up front. We provide services such as credit hire, taxi vehicles, recovery, storage and much more. For full details on our range of services and a free consultation, call us on 01733 555 774 or visit our office at 249 Lincoln Road opposite the NatWest Bank. Accident Specialists. Start your successful claim today.
Do you own a restaurant or takeaway? Cater Fair is an expert supplier of new and used commercial catering equipment. Visit caterfair.co.uk for quality equipment on sale at the lowest prices, or call us on 01733 310 115 or visit us at 11 Royce Road, Fengate, Peterborough.
दोस्ता कियां परेशान है
जरा कर है ना सारा सौदा मुक्या वा मुल्का विच पैसे भेजने
हूं नहीं मार फूड वाले की फोन खड़का ते फ्री लोकल डिलीवरी कार मंगवा
आलाता उथे का स्पेशल आ
उना की लबई हाइजीन च ग्रेड 5 चीजें चंगियां मियारी ते सस्तियां ते नाले ऑफर ही ऑफर
और क्या
ताजा गोश्त ताजी सब्जियां ते फ्रूट आटा चावल दालां मसाले ते जूस सारे बिल जमा करने गैस ते इलेक्ट्रिक ने टॉप अप भी करने पाकिस्तान पैसे बिल्कुल फ्री भेजने मतलब के एक चिड़ी ने दूध छड़ी ते हर शय लबनी
और जने ने आप उतरा
Amar Food Store and Halal Meat 613B Lincoln Road Peterborough telephone 01733 687374.
Is your child spending too long on their tablet or games console? Are they getting enough exercise? How about introducing them to wrestling? Futua Freestyle Wrestling Club is the only wrestling club in the Peterborough area registered to the British Wrestling Association. Wrestling is a prophetic sunnah sport that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions regularly participated in. Wrestling at a young age helps with flexibility, fitness, self-confidence and teamwork. Our sessions are taught by a top British wrestling coach with over 20 years experience. Every Monday and Wednesday at the Gladstone Park Community Centre on Borge Boulevard, 5:30 to 6:40 p.m. for ages 4 to 7 and 6:45 to 8 p.m. for ages 8 to 13. Monthly fees are only £10 for 8 classes ages 4 to 7 and only £15 for 8 classes ages 8 to 13. Your first session is free, so come and give us a try. To enrol, contact 07971 44 8847. Futua Freestyle Wrestling Club, every Monday and Wednesday at the Gladstone Park Community Centre.
Did you know that all of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's children died before him except for his daughter Fatima radiallahu anha?
Sometimes when the world's not on your side.
Broadcasting 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salaam Radio.
Welcome back to our listeners to Salaam Radio 106.2 FM. We're Facebook Live, YouTube Live, online at salamradio.co.uk. This is Adrian Holdstock presenting Community Matters, the radio show for all communities across Peterborough and beyond. We've just been speaking to Richard Ferris, the centre manager here at the Allama Iqbal Centre, where Salaam Radio Studio is based. But tonight, joining me by telephone is Mohammed Saeed, the Vice Chair and Secretary of Community First Peterborough charity, set up in the Operation Can Do area of Peterborough, running up from Bright Street to Millfield and beyond. When I introduced Saeed back in February as my very first guest, I said that he was born in Pakistan and arrived in the United Kingdom in 1980, and has lived here ever since. He is married with 5 children and has been involved in local issues for many years now. He helped to set up Community First Residents Association in 2015 with the hope of being able to make a difference to the lives of local people in a positive way. Currently, he is a member of the Hate Crime and Tension Monitoring Panel, which meets every 2 months, and he's also part of the Cambridgeshire Constabulary External Ethics Group. Saeed, a very warm welcome to you on Salaam Radio.
Good evening, Adrian. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and how are you?
Yes, very well, thank you very much.
Now, I've just been talking with Richard Ferris, and of course we met him on Saturday at the event we had here at the Iqbal Centre. Perhaps we could start by talking about that. It was linked with the Peterborough Environmental City Trust. What was the event and how did it go?
Basically it was the Growing Communities event. We started this project in the summer. It's taken about a year to put together. The idea was to renovate some of the flower beds in the area. We've managed a total of 22 flower beds, some of them with flowers and 3 which have edibles in them. Along with the flower beds at the centre as well, so we've helped tidy them up. They've been there for a while, but we've helped sort of keep an eye on the maintenance of those as well. The project was initiated by Community First with the help of PECT, which is Peterborough Environmental City Trust, a local charity that deals in environmental issues. The project was to end in October. We are now in the first week of October with all flower beds complete. And this event that we held at the Iqbal Centre last week was just to acknowledge all the volunteers, everybody that's been involved in the project, and just to get together, just say thank you to everybody, some food, and just a general community get-together. Everybody was invited to that. It was a very successful event. We had lots of people turn up from different communities, all come together just to have some food, have a chat, and we had a poem which was written specifically for the event, read out by young poet Luqman Ali, which was also read out at the Millfield Festival earlier on in the year. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. There was a lot of hammering going on Saturday. What was that about?
Yeah, so in keeping with our environmental project, we decided to put on some environmental activities. So one of the activities we decided to put on was for anybody really, but it was to make bird boxes, bat boxes, and bug boxes. So you might have seen bird boxes on the sides of people's houses or on trees. It was just basically a kit that we ordered in, and myself and others were helping people put the kit together, especially young people put the kit together so they take it home, decorate it and hang it so that we could attract more wildlife. So the aim of the project is to bring a little bit of nature back into our concrete jungle. We're seeing constantly trees disappearing, flower beds not maintained, and all we tend to see is just concrete and tarmac, and it's not pleasant to look at. So a little bit of greenery, it's good for the soul, good for the environment, good for the air we breathe, especially with the trees. So in keeping with that, we want to attract more wildlife into the area. So the bird boxes were very well received. Some were made on site, which we helped put together, and some children and their parents took home to make themselves and install at home. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned there were 22 patches of land that have been replanted, dug over and so on. As I walked here this evening past the Beeches School, the beautiful flower beds in bloom, and the Beeches have particularly, the governing body of the Beeches have sent you their thanks because you've overcome an issue with visibility for drivers coming in and out of the front of the school, and it's improved the area no end, and the children want to get involved in maintaining those beds.
That's really the aim. The aim is to get the community to be involved in maintaining and upkeeping of the flower beds, because it's not something that one person can do. The charity Peck gave as a project manager for the whole duration of the project. The project is now literally at an end. The project manager, she's said that she will still carry on to help us out on our maintenance days. So whenever she's available, she will come out and still be part of the project. So that's very nice of Danette O'Hara to still carry on and be part of the project. And it's an important project that we want to see increase over the time. So hopefully we can maintain those flower beds that we've already taken on, and then take on others or other patches of land which we can turn into community gardens and into planting more flowers, especially flowers that will attract the bees and the wildlife and things like that. Because we need to see a bit of colour. Like I said, living in a concrete jungle, it gets a bit dull sometimes. So.
Yes, a concrete and brick jungle that we live in, and tarmac as well.
Yeah.
But the project started at the beginning of the driest and hottest summer we've had for many years. And hopefully local residents and shopkeepers helped out by some watering to keep things alive.
That's right. Yeah, we've had lots of help from business owners where some of our flower beds are close to their businesses, as in Sargent Street, which we get a lot of support from the Medina food store there. They water 2 flower beds for us. Those flower beds tend to look the best as well. They're also sponsored by Marks and Spencer's, because they provided the flowers and the volunteers to help plant those. So we've had a lot of support from across the city. We have people coming all the way from Stanground, even volunteers coming from as far as Newborough. Out in Newborough, we have a husband and a wife. They come out whenever they can to help us out. So volunteers from all over the city. Everybody that's seen the flower beds is really happy, and we're really happy, especially with the ones around the school, because I used to see those, and they were atrocious, because the weeds and the plants growing in there would grow so big that you couldn't see the children behind them, and it's made it a lot safer around there, which is very good.
And I think this is an example of giving the community an opportunity to do something for itself that improves the area, as you say, brings more colour in, and enables people to look after something that previously wasn't worth looking after at all.
Yeah, the community just need direction, really. Because people want to look after their local area, and it's about empowering the community and letting them know that if you ask the right people, make the right questions, and you can actually get things done. And it's just about organising everybody. We've got so many people that are wanting to come out, and that people are asking that can we hold the maintenance days on the day when they're not working and stuff like that. So it's very encouraging, and we get a lot of encouragement from people that see us working on the flower beds, or we've started regular litter picks in the area as well. So that sort of almost every weekend we have a team that goes out and does litter picking now, and people are always encouraging and happy to see us out, and children will come out of their houses to, I've had fathers and mothers send their kids out, say go and help out. It's a local project, so it's really encouraging. And businessmen have come up to us and said that we will sponsor the flower beds. So we're in the planning stages of getting that sorted for next year, so that we can have some a variety of planting going on.
That sounds splendid. Thank you, Saeed, for all the work you've put in, and particularly for PECT and their project manager and their sponsorship of this work, and all the other businesses and local people and people from as far away as Newborough who've become engaged with this project. Now, you mentioned litter picking, and litter picking itself doesn't sound a very interesting occupation, but there does seem to be more of it happening.
Yeah, well, litter picking is something that it's not something that I've been accustomed to, but it's something that I've gradually grown into. Once you start, it's a bit like a bug, to be honest. Once you start, you can't stop. I mean, I see litter now, and it's like continuous, and I have to stop the car sometimes. I've been out to Glinton one day, and just outside a bus stop with a very big litter bin next to it, there was a whole pile of KFC rubbish that somebody had not bothered to get out the car and put it in the bin, just left it outside. And Glinton being a very nice place, there's no other litter in the whole of the village, but just as you enter the village, there was this big pile of KFC stuff. So I had to stop. I had to get my gloves on and just put it into the bin. It's one of those things that you either tend to ignore it, or you actually see it and you take action. So the aim is that we can encourage more and more people to actually stop littering in the first place, and help in keeping the streets clean. So if we can get 1 or 2 volunteers in every street, that will help us so much in alleviating the problem. I know the council have regular litter picks in the area. I've been out today with James Collingridge of the City Council, just to show them all the hot spots where we found a lot of needles and stuff, and give them some ideas about sprucing up some of those areas. It's about encouraging people to maintain their own areas. So it's part of the Growing Communities project, really. It's the same ethos that, putting pride back into the area. You've got to achieve that by actually going out and doing it. So we've started. We see every week we get new volunteers coming in. We had a lady come all the way from Stanground last week when because we've not kept it just to our area, the Gladstone or the Millfield. We've sort of taken it out. We've been as far as Castor. We've been over to the River Nene near Thorpe Meadows and places like that. So it's good to engage other communities, and we're all really one community. It's all about looking after the whole of Peterborough.
Let's start this new movement that the communities of Peterborough, we don't need to live with litter.
No, that's right, yes. Yeah.
Now, is it always as badly littered when you go back after a week or a month, or do you think habits are changing?
No, to be honest with you, we've been back. It's been a week since we did Borges Boulevard between Russell Street and Newark Avenue. And today I had a walk around, like I said, with James in the morning, and it was exactly the same. I could have picked the same amount of litter again, and it was a similar kind of stuff. I mean, I was highlighting the places where we found needles, and literally as soon as we turned on to the underpass that comes from Mayor's Walk, we found a needle just lying there, just close to the shrubs. And needles is a big issue all over the city. It's been in the news this week. A gentleman who was litter picking accidentally managed to get one of the needles into his leg, and it's a serious issue,
Of course.
So we're coming across a lot of needles, especially in the greener areas. I mean, we started last week in Russell Street. We found 4 just in the car park in Russell Street, and then a total of 22 one day, and the next day we found 33 needles. So that was along the Borges Boulevard cycle path, and it's all greenery down there. Because it's quiet locations, there's shrubbery to hide behind. People are sneaking in behind there to use the drugs, and that then leads us on to another issue, the actual issue of addiction and drug taking and drug dealing, which is...
Indeed. Let me just stay with needles for a moment,
sure.
Because back in March I interviewed Fiona Henry here on Community Matters, and Fiona, with 2 other concerned mums, had formed, I think, a lovely catchy title for their very serious group, Needless Needles. and to raise awareness of discarded hypodermic needles in all sorts of places, including, of course, where our children might play or explore. And here you're sharing with us the very sad news that needles are still being discarded all over the place.
That's right, yes. Last week there was 150 needles found at railroad around that area, south of the river. That's on top of what we found on the other side, so that's over 200 needles.
So it's not only about spotting them and collecting them safely in a safe manner, with the right tools and the right boxes to put them in, but finding ways that they're not going to be discarded. I realise that people who are addicted are going to need to use needles at the moment, but do they need to throw them away all over?
The scheme is basically to stop the spread of disease, because before the needle scheme was initiated, users would use the needles and then pass the needles on or reuse the needles, and that was spreading disease.
Yes.
And the government came up with this strategy, but the strategy needs some kind of exchange system. So where if a user takes a needle, they then bring the needle back in order to get fresh needles. But then it's whether that will work or whether they will go back to the old ways of reusing old needles. And it's a really, there needs to be more done to help young people with these addiction problems, to get off, to get out of that rut, to get out of the addiction, because there is stuff being done, but there's not enough outreach work being done with young people who are spending their nights in bushes in the park, just putting needles in their arms, and it's ever increasing.
And I know that the Needless Needles campaign was about asking the authorities, the police and the city council, to debate the issue and find ways in which needles can be kept from being discarded in public places. It would be good to hear, both from Needless Needles, what their experience has been over this past 6 months, but also from the authorities, particularly from our city council. Have they had that public debate in council chamber? And have they got ideas to help our drug addicts keep hold of their hypodermic needles and dispose of them in safe manners?
Sorry.
You mentioned drug pushing, and I just wanted to come on to that, because what is the concern there for our local communities?
Well, it's a concern all over the city, because I travel the city extensively, and I see drug pushing in most areas, especially the areas with working class communities. It's an issue that's all over the city. This is why we're finding so many needles, because it's increasing. There is an influx of a lot of people coming in, county gangs as they call them, where people are flooding more rural areas like Peterborough, because Peterborough, it's a city to us, but to people that live in big cities like Nottingham and Leicester and Birmingham and London, we're what they call the countryside. So it's about them expanding their regions and moving out, and this is why you're seeing such an increase where young children are being sent out in county gangs. They're put on trains and sent to locations where they've got properties that they rent out and just start selling from there. It's overtaking. It's a real big problem that needs big solutions, and it needs solutions. Well, the problem we find with the statutory authorities and other organisations is they're slow to move. So there will be meetings. I've spoken to Fiona about the needles issue, and she said that there is a task and finish group at the city council, but everything moves so slowly. Once you get into those cogs, the bureaucracy just slows everything down, and there aren't really any radical ideas that people are coming up with. They're just coming up with the same ideas. We need to put some needle bins. So the users are already given plastic bins to carry with them to put their needles in, but now they're saying that we need fixed bins, which will only take needles or boxes that they're given. But I don't think that will really solve any issues. The issues are not that there isn't anywhere to dispose of the needles, because we find the needles, and right next to the needles we find the empty bins for the needles lying next to them. So that's not the issue. The issue is to tackle the actual influx of the drugs, and to tackle to give young people a respite, give them a way out of the addiction.
Yeah. I mean, my sense is,
sorry.
Yeah, my sense is that this is a much deeper problem. It's not only about the drug pushing and the availability of drugs, but it's about what is it in people's minds that makes them feel drawn to want to smoke cannabis or take harder drugs that are injected, instead of other pursuits, activities, hobbies, working life that they could develop. And
a lot of addicts are victims. In my eyes, I class them as victims of circumstance. So a lot of them are young people who, like you're referring to, are coming from broken backgrounds, coming from upset childhoods or whatever. They've had issues, and some of them are grown men, grown women that I've seen that have just fallen on hard times. So I know one young man. He's a boxer. He's worked in gyms here. He's actually done professional boxing. He's from Manchester, and he's a very proficient boxer. But because he has no family structure here, has no sort of backup here, his situation has come to, he's lost his job, can't find any work, ended up on the street. From the street, he's come across somebody, and that's where he started to get involved in hard drugs, and that has led him onto becoming homeless. Sorry, just one.
We seem to have lost Saeed.
Hi, Adrian. Sorry.
Hello, are you back with us?
Yeah, sorry, I'm still here. Just another call came through there.
Okay.
So,
can I just move on to something on the positive side of working with our young people and making provision and giving them opportunities to feel life can be fun. We can grow in community, we can grow in teamwork, we can learn skills, and we can enjoy doing so. And the particular project I'm thinking about is where Community First have been working with the Scout Association and the Beaches School to launch Cubs and Beavers for children in our area. Whether or not they attend the beaches, the Cubs and the Beavers are open to primary school age children. And we're just at the point of launching these groups. On Tuesday evening this week, 30 children and their parents attended a taster session to help get the group started. And I believe, Saeed, you went to the taster session the week before. Can you tell us what you did?
We didn't have such a big turnout the week before, but nevertheless, we still had lots of volunteers, and on that first session with the youngsters, we were actually launching rockets. So it's very exciting to go out and tell the youngsters we're going to be launching rockets, and it's an ingenious way of launching rockets, which I won't share on here because we'll save that for when the children come. But yeah, so we've done exciting activities like launching rockets and learning about the outdoors and things like that. It's an amazing opportunity for young people to be involved in Scouts. Cubs and Beavers is where we're starting at with the youngsters, and hopefully our aim is to progress this on a gradual basis with the help of the Beaches Primary School, because we couldn't do it without a location. Very grateful to them, and obviously to the Scout Association. We have a whole team from the Scout Association that comes and helps us set up our lessons. And this, like you said, this Tuesday coming at 5 p.m. at the Beaches, they have a open day for volunteers to come in, ask questions, and to hopefully get involved in setting this up, because it's all volunteer led. That's how the Scouts works. Nobody gets paid. Everybody volunteers, and the children and the Scout leaders get to have a good time, hopefully. Yeah.
In our final minute, anything else you'd like to share about the work of Community First?
Well, Community First is working on a lot of new projects. So if you would like to know more, you can visit our Facebook page, which is facebook.com Community First Peterborough, where we'll keep updating all the new stuff that we're working on as and when it's up and ready. So we've got a couple of projects in mind. We're hoping to partnership with a few organisations and get those off the ground. So yeah, keep posted to our Facebook. We also have a Twitter account, and I think we're on Instagram as well for the young ones.
Well, that's wonderful, Saeed. Thank you so much for joining me again,
You're welcome, Adrian.
and for bringing us up to date with the work of Community First.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Have a good night.
And to you.
Bye. Bye.
So, what are the issues and opportunities that matter to you as a community? Do please let us have your ideas and concerns by Facebook, Twitter, leaving a WhatsApp message or emailing us at info@salamradio.co.uk. That's all we have time for tonight on Community Matters. Let's be a community that lives in peace and harmony. Salam, shalom, and the peace of God to you all.